welcome bring his ass to this ring. Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And back inside of a computer near you for another SCI Wrestling. I'm WB Ward.
And I'm Chip Douglas.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Not too good.
You know, I want to remind you that we are officially 3 weeks away.
Yes, we are 3 weeks away from WrestleMania.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you asked me how I was doing. I just told you, not too good.
Not too good.
Yeah, and you just went, oh, well, so what? We're 3 weeks away from
Probably because I'm
WrestleMania.
trying to figure out my headphones here.
Oh, yeah.
They're not too good.
No, my neck is killing me.
Why?
Well, last night I went over to a friend's house, helped him install a skylight in his bedroom,
Okay.
and now my neck is just really... It was really cool, though, but I got to tell you, the people who live upstairs are really pissed. Yeah. Anyway. See, you almost ruined a good joke there.
I'm so sorry. You gave me the death glare. I'm like, what?
You just went right on by that.
I already had like the, you know.
Hey, you can't ignore me. You're not an ex-wife.
Exactly. Jeez.
Yeah.
You know, I already had a plan in my head, and apparently it was a little bit different from yours.
Yes. Yeah, you're right, though. We are 3 weeks away from WrestleMania.
And so with us being so close to WrestleMania,
yes,
we'll be able to book a couple of guests here in the next couple of weeks.
Ooh, I'm all giddy.
We were supposed to have Marcus Hathcock on tonight's show, but...
the turncoat.
Yeah, but circumstances behold, he unfortunately has to work. So he will be on next week's show, which will be the 22nd, I believe.
Always enjoy having Hathcock.
Oh, he's really good insight. Yeah. Really has a good pulse on what the fans want in
Guy's got
wrestling.
some gray matter upstairs.
Really good, really good. And then after that, on the 29th, which is 2 weeks from this week, our old friend from Ring Rust Radio, Donald Wood.
Hey. He's
going to be on the show, which I'm always excited about.
There's something about having the word rust and the name Wood all in the same sentence that I just... You know,
that poor guy.
Yeah.
Because he's a columnist for Bleacher Report.
Right.
And almost everything he has to write about on Bleacher Report is about TNA. So that guy is forced to sit down for two hours and watch TNA, which is a feat upon itself.
I'm sure. So next week we're gonna have Hathcock, and the week after we're gonna have Wood.
Donald Wood from Ring Rust.
Okay.
And then hopefully after that we'll have another special guest. So we'll see.
That zipped right past you, didn't it?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, okay.
No, I just kind of ignored it.
Yeah, the special guest who we might have in 3 weeks. I don't know. Should we mention Chris Plank's name or not?
Oh, well, you already did.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hopefully I can get in touch with him. We can get that nailed down. Yeah. Well, he's busy too, so
absolutely.
I can understand that. The man is he's on a very well listened to radio station here in Tulsa.
Yes,
it has a large fan base, and probably every day he has to answer all of his fans and talks to all 12 of them at once.
I heard the max is 14.
Is it 14? Is that what it is now?
Max.
Okay. Well, maybe. Yeah, we're 3 weeks out from WrestleMania. Everybody is geared up. They have their... We're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame here in a little bit. Also be taking a look back at Raw and SmackDown from the past week.
Yep.
But before we get to that or any of that at all, we are obligated first and foremost to do this.
Oh, there it is.
Here comes Mr. Jackson.
Woo-hoo! All right, and this week's Tweet of the Week is brought to you by Pat McNeil, who is a wrestling columnist. It's not so much really that hilarious, but the tweets this week have been kind of weak.
Yes.
So this one is, will Bray Wyatt accept Cena's challenge for WrestleMania? Because if he doesn't, Cena will be stuck working Fandango.
Speaking of Fandango,
yes,
saw him on SmackDown. I actually had a very good show.
Really?
Very good show. He did very good. I swear to God, SmackDown's lineup seems to be a little better than Raw's.
Now, that's kind of surprising because I do not watch SmackDown.
Yeah.
And it kind of surprised me because last time I watched SmackDown, which is quite long ago, I was not impressed with the product. Just because Great Khali was a featured main event star on the show.
Now, one thing I have noticed since I've been watching SmackDown, and SmackDown between the two properties, SmackDown and Raw, SmackDown is the recorded one.
Correct.
They do take liberties with the audio.
Do they really?
I've noticed that the crowd responses are a lot more exaggerated than they are on Raw.
Which I've heard that.
And they don't sound natural.
They don't.
No.
Okay, and I've actually heard that before from writers and producers that used to work for WBE that they do have.
I had not heard
villains.
that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
based on what I've been hearing, because I know a track when I hear it.
Now they do main event live now for the WBE network.
On the WWE network, it's live.
All right, so gearing into the show, we haven't really talked about this too much, which is the Hall of Fame, which is going to happen the night before WrestleMania.
Okay.
And we have some new inductees that are coming in. So I feel like it should be important for us to go ahead and introduce them the right way.
Well, how'd you do that?
I have no idea.
That
how
was
I did
cool.
that. Did I live up to the WB standard?
That was cool. That was cool. It makes me all goose pimply and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether we should be playing this or Pomp and Circumstances.
So, in the night before WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame is always presented.
Yes.
And we haven't really talked about the last 3 inductees. So we'll go ahead and roll through those.
Okay.
Of course, the main one is Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Which is very fitting, and it was just recently announced that Linda McMahon will be the one inducting the Ultimate Warrior into the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that really surprises me.
The reason why, from everything I've heard, is because of the fact that him and Linda apparently have always had a really good working relationship, and she was the main reason for Warrior coming back in the mid-90s. For his last run in WBE. So with that being said, to me it's probably a Warrior decision more than anything, because they're really treading lightly on how they use Warrior. So more than anything, I bet this is Warrior's call.
Could be. Yeah, it makes sense. But I didn't realize that he and Mrs. McMahon got along that well.
Apparently so, and it has to be his case just because from a reference, we haven't seen her on television in years.
Yeah.
She's been very much backstage or focused on her political career, which really doesn't matter.
That doesn't exist now.
Yeah. So with that being said, the next inductee that we haven't talked about is Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes.
Which is well overdue.
Absolutely.
Which is really nice to hear that he's cleaned up his life and he's kind of kicked some of those demons that he's been dealing with.
He's had some really big problems.
Really big problems. In fact, he most recently tweeted that he had a little battle with cancer.
Ooh.
Which apparently has been taken care of. He had a tumor that was growing in the back of his knee, but it has been taken out, and so he's well on his way to recovery, and he will be in New Orleans to accept the to be in the ceremony. I think it's DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, that is inducting him.
Now that is fitting. That is the most fitting inductee I've seen.
And it should be, because DDP should be given a lot of credit to the fact of how Jake Roberts has been able to kind of turn his life around.
Right.
So it's very fitting for that to happen, and for Jake Roberts to be in New Orleans, which is very much a party town.
Didn't Paige run the house that Jake was staying in for a while?
Yes, yeah, okay. The kind of the sober living house, like
right.
The Accountability House is the proper name. Yes, it's very much so. Just because of the fact that Jake Roberts really taught DDP a lot about the business when DDP was trying to get in. Mm-hmm. So he kind of did this as to try to get his mentor a little bit cleaner. So yeah, very fitting for him for that to happen. It's very well overdue. That is
just so awesome.
Now, a couple weeks ago, we had a former diva get announced to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
and that is Lita.
I know. Now that surprised me. Why? I'm not trying to downplay her or her accomplishments or her ability in ring. Right. So don't get me wrong. But what the hell has she done to warrant being put in the Hall of Fame?
Okay, let's talk from a talent standpoint.
Okay, all right.
From a actual woman wrestler, can you really name a better woman wrestler that has came in this industry in the past 15 years?
It's just that whenever I hear Hall of Fame,
I know it's a big
see,
deal.
I was kind of against Edge going into the Hall of Fame, and for the same reason,
right?
Just because I don't know, I think more water should have gone under the bridge.
I do think that there are a couple more deserving. I don't want to say divas, but women wrestlers that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, by the way, and again, I want to really reiterate this. I'm a Lita fan,
Right.
I don't want to
me
take
too.
anything away from her. I don't want to take anything away from her. I just kind of go, Hall of Fame? Really? Okay.
It was kind of surprising. And I was kind of surprised when they inducted Trish Stratus.
Yeah, true.
To be truthfully honest, I think Lita should have been in before Trish Stratus.
Well, but you can see why, though, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. But that goes to stay on my point. There's a couple of other women that maybe should have gone in before Lita and maybe Trish Stratus. Let's talk about Sable.
Okay.
That's a perfect example of a woman that really, she started the Attitude Era when it comes from a women wrestler standpoint.
China, I think, should be considered.
China should be very well, what you said, considered for the Hall of Fame.
I don't think that will ever happen.
No, and unless she goes to the accountability house of DDP and erases all her porn career. Another one which I think a lot of people kind of forget about is Alondra Blaze or Medusa.
Oh, yeah, Medusa.
She was very, very talented in the mid-'90s. And when you talk about wrestlers and women wrestlers, she was the best women wrestler to be in the 90s.
Yeah, okay. I'll go along with that one.
So with Lita, I do agree with more of a Lita than Trish Stratus, even though my heart goes putt-putt for Trish Stratus.
Yes.
With Lita, she was extremely talented and was able to do a lot of things physically in the wrestling ring that other women couldn't do. The top rope, hurricanranas, and stuff like that, because she learned in Mexico. So she learned at Lucha Libre style. Boy, I'm stumbling today, aren't I? And so,
I love hearing you trying to pronounce Spanish.
I know. Buenos dias.
Say habla Espanol? Okay.
And speaking of Spanish, let's go into the last inductee, which was just announced.
Yes.
Carlos Colon.
Now, this is one I can understand.
This is a perfect example of someone who deserves it.
Yes.
Carlos Colon is really famous for being in Puerto Rico, running the Puerto Rico show, and to be one of the last territories besides Memphis to still be standing today.
Yes.
And of course, Carlos Colon is always remembered for his sons that are wrestlers today and have been. Carlito is the son of Carlos Colon, and Epico Colon, which is to give his secret away, is one of the last matadores. Along with Primo, who's a nephew, or I think it's a nephew. Yeah, nephew of Carlos Colon.
I don't mean to sound racist, but why are they always all related?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm sure they're related to the Guerreros somewhere down the line.
No,
Okay.
not even close.
But it does all seem to be family.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of family there.
And the sons and nephew are actually going to be inducting Carlos Colon into the Hall of Fame.
Cool.
So we'll see Carlito back for at least one night. I wonder if he's going to be bringing the apple.
He should.
He should. Why not?
Absolutely. Now, there's one Hall of Fame inductee that you haven't mentioned yet who really, truly also deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Who's being inducted?
Being inducted, yes.
Who?
That would be...
Who?
Pall Bearer.
Oh my gosh, I completely blanked.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I forgot about Pall Bearer.
Absolutely.
Very well deserving.
And, of all the Hall of Fame inductees, he is one of two whom I've actually worked with and met.
That's right. Back when he was Percy Pringle, right?
Yep, in his Percy Pringle days.
Now, I know we talked briefly about this when he passed away this past year, but go and repeat your experience with dealing with Percy Pringle.
He was just an awesome person. I mean, even in the persona of Percy Pringle, or whether, and I'm sure, and I haven't seen him since then, but I'm sure this also holds true with him in the persona of Pall Bearer.
Right.
He was just one of the nicest and kindest individuals you would ever meet. One of the most extremely helpful individuals. So I first met him back in the dressing rooms, and a lot of the guys just called him Dad.
Really?
They just, because he truly was a father figure to the wrestlers back in the locker room. So, he's truly a tremendous talent, a great just a great encouragement to everybody around him. If you could just get past that high, shrilly voice.
Ooh,
And, when he was Percy Pringle, it wasn't any different. I mean, it was just really this grating voice, but man, the guy was he was all heart.
Now, what's really cool about Paul Bearer is, he really had that persona of a funeral director. And truth be told, in real life, he was a funeral director.
Yep, that was his profession. Yeah.
So, very fitting. He definitely fit the character very well.
Well, that's what he had in common, even though he didn't take on the Pall Bearer persona until he hit the WWE. But when he was with the WCW,
WCCW.
Yeah, thank you. That's the one I worked for, and I can't remember.
I got you.
He still had something in common with that in his Undertaker days of when he was actually an Undertaker. I mean, in both cases, he worked for a dead crowd. Any way you look at it. So it was a natural step.
I do have a question. Who was he managing at that time? Do you remember?
Oh,
because I think back, was it Kamala?
No. When I was with the promotion, I'm wanting to say Gentleman Chris Adams.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm wanting to say. I could be wrong on that, but I seem to remember him. He came out to the ring with him.
So there's your Hall of Fame class of right now. I don't know if there's going to be any more inductees into the Hall of Fame this year. I've heard a lot of rumors of Scott Hall possibly being inducted.
Okay.
When you think about what he did in the Monday Night Wars.
Okay.
Because he was the one that fired the first shot.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that Nitro live and then seeing him go through that crowd and get in that ring and cut that famous promo. And I'm just thinking, holy crap. And I could only peek into the future just a little bit, and I still would not be able to really grasp what would be ahead. And it was just a wonderful moment. In my opinion, the best time to be a wrestling fan. Because I really didn't enjoy the territory days that much. But to me, being a kid in the 90s, that was the best time to be a wrestling fan.
Okay, coming back up to speed.
Yes, to the current now.
You know how we've always bitched and moaned on this show about the WWE writers.
Correct.
Here in this last week, I've been seeing some absolute dramatic improvement over storylines and promos in general.
I agree.
Do you think their writing has improved, or are they turning over control to the talent a little bit more?
I think writing's gotten better.
I hope so. I don't mind the idea that they have writers. But yeah, I mean, what they did on Monday Night Raw, I never thought I would ever hear myself say this, but I saw something on Monday Night Raw I have never, ever, ever, ever seen before anywhere under any promotion at all. And that was when everybody got into the ring.
Was that wonderful?
And when I say everybody, I mean, if you guys didn't see the show, I mean everybody, over 100 people from the audience.
Right.
Well, they said from the audience, but we never actually saw people climbing over the barriers.
Right.
Although they pretty much had to, but these all had to be hand-picked people because of insurance purposes and stuff.
Yeah.
But still, I was kind of surprised that the announcers didn't say this. They just said it's never been done in the WWE before. But I would challenge anybody to find out any example of any time this has ever happened where they intentionally allowed that many people to come to the ring at the same time. Of non-wrestlers.
Yeah. I mean, ECW did some crazy stuff back in the day. But they had one time where they let the crowd come into the ring and the ring collapsed. But that was, I don't know if that was so much planned as much as this was. This was part of the angle.
Yes, it was.
Yes. And you could not have described or built the Yes movement any better than that.
That was just absolutely awesome.
I think what we're seeing more than anything with the creative department is they really like the slow build. And what I mean by that is they don't like to immediately jump into something.
Well, and that's fine. That's great. That's the way they should go. But their big problem leading up to now is they have been performing these knee-jerk reactions to bits that they would do on the air, and they're going, oh, it's not working. When they should have, in fact, just stayed with the idea and let it blossom.
But if we saw this same thing 2 weeks ago on Raw, would it have the same effect today? That's the question.
No, Well, I think it would have had the same effect, but I think it would have been too soon to have done it.
Exactly.
But yes, I know, I see your point. But I'm hoping that they will continue this trend of allowing things to go on. Now, speed this up to SmackDown, which I did watch the other night.
Okay. I heard about the Shield, by the way.
And yeah, it looks like there's a possibility they might be turning them face.
Yeah.
And that was a surprising move as well. I did expect to see the Shield split up and maybe one or two of them turn face, one of them remain heel, or two remain heel and one turn face. I never expected all three of them to remain as a team and turn face, and I think that's a great idea.
I still don't think it's going to happen.
Well, they've set it up. They've set it up to allow it.
I still see Ambrose being the heel and breaking away from him.
That's, I got to tell you, I completely understand your point. However, after watching last SmackDown, I'm going, well, I don't know, because they've really got that set up in a very good way where all three of them could in tandem go face. Maybe with Ambrose eventually turning on him.
But here's the thing: what do you do with them in WrestleMania?
And who are they going up against at WrestleMania?
Nobody. We don't know.
Uh-huh.
The big rumors.
Oh, they're going to go up against Kane and two other people, probably.
It wouldn't be too bad.
Because that's who they turned on SmackDown.
Right.
So I bet you, my feeling now, my gut feeling would have to be Kane is going to select two people to go into the ring with him.
To represent, like, the Authority.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, it won't be the New Age Outlaws, but...
Well, now that has possibility to it.
The only reason I don't see them happening because I do see them being part of the Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania with the Usos. Okay. So that's the reason I really don't think it'd be them.
Let me give you a what-if question.
Okay.
All tag teams historically break up. One turns on the other. Right. Eventually. On the day that this happens, who in the Wyatt family would you suspect would break away first?
A Roman Harper. Easily Roman Harper.
Okay, why would you suspect him?
Just because out of the two, because Bray Wyatt I don't think he would break away from his own followers. And Eric Rowan, I don't see him as a player. I see him as just a piece. Roman Harper, I see big things.
Now this
from
is
him.
the dark-haired guy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I see him being Bruiser Brody of this generation. He has that real good physical standpoint, and I can see him going to a point where he's just tired, or Bray kind of beats up on him a little too much, and then eventually it's just a big running boot right to Bray Wyatt's face. And then the crowd would just freaking pop so much from it, especially if Cena really gets over on. Wyatt gets over on John Cena at WrestleMania. I can see it. It would be something that you would see probably in the springtime, or in the fall time at a lesser pay per view that would feed into one of the big pay per views like SummerSlam, or Survivor Series or something like that.
Have you heard the latest CM Punk rumor?
No.
The latest rumor I've heard, and incidentally, I did see this on Twitter. Somebody was suggesting the possibility of a surprise return of CM Punk at WrestleMania.
Okay, in what context?
They were not specific, other than watch for the possibility of Punk at WrestleMania. And that's really just about all that was said. That would seem to make sense. He's certainly been out long enough. I know WWE would love to have him back, just because of the financial investment they have in him, and also the financial return he can easily provide. So the idea of him coming back is not that unbelievable.
Okay, let me do a little bit of fancy booking here.
Okay.
What if they, and this kind of sucks because it's going to hurt Daniel Bryan's build up.
Mm-hmm.
Have Daniel Bryan beat Triple H. He goes into the Triple Threat WrestleMania. Somehow gets screwed over by like Batista. And Batista ends up being the champion. Next night on Raw, comes out, gives a glorious speech, and then CM Punk makes his return right there.
Now, that would be pretty cool.
They always try to save the returns on the next night of Raw, a.k.a. Brock Lesnar, a.k.a. even Dolph Ziggler win the World Championship, even though he just had a shot of it the night before. So, yeah, I mean, I can see it happen the night after Raw. Or the night after WrestleMania.
Well, the very fact that you said that that's usually when it happens is the night after on Raw kind of makes me think, well, maybe it would happen during WrestleMania then, because I mean, they've been doing everything else different leading up until now. They've been really throwing some big, huge curveballs, which has really impressed me. So why not use this as a curveball?
And you're exactly right, because one thing that is happening this year that has never happened to years previous is WrestleMania 30 is going to stream live on WWE Network.
That's true.
So it's going to be able to capture even more viewers than I think than ever before.
Well, and you know, I'm really reserved on my opinion on the WWE Network. I just really hope WWE is not really burning some serious bridges behind them. I think this is going to be a great moneymaker for them at first, but I think as time rolls on, they're going to find out there's not as much gold in them our hills as what they were counting on. And if that's the case, then I hope they're not burning their bridges behind them with the television providers.
I guess we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. And see, the only thing that makes me think that is because I was watching some video online on WWE. I forget now what I was watching, but it was, you know, some recaps of things that's happened in the past. And I happened to look over the shoulder of one of the wrestlers, and up hanging from the rafters was a sign that said WWE. Oh, excuse me. No, it said W. All it said was W 24/7. And I got to looking at that. I thought, wonder what that is. And then I remembered a long time ago, they were planning on a WWF channel that would be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that would be available on cable. Never came into fruition. And that got me to thinking, you know, with that, their football league, USFL? XFL, that's right. That was short-lived. That didn't last. That network didn't last. And they, you know, up till now, they have had on some television providers, WWE On Demand. That has been in existence. It is no longer available. So the idea that WWE Network within the next year or two going away, not that unbelievable.
What's really going to be interesting is the fact that, speaking of WWE Network, is their television rights, as far as for Raw being on USA Network, is coming up.
Yep.
I know.
That's going to be the tell-all right there.
Yeah, it's going to be the tell-all right there. But kind of moving on to that, because we've been beaten WWE Network over the head with a bat.
Well, yeah, we have. Not we. I have.
Yeah, you have.
Yes.
I've enjoyed it.
Yes.
One thing that is surprising that has just been published on WWE.com, leading back to the Shield and the Wyatts,
yes,
is the possibility of bringing back the 6-man tag team division.
Division?
Yes. You know, you should know that better than anyone, being
yes,
the WCCW.
Gosh, I haven't even thought of that in years.
Yeah, WWE.com actually published this article about the possibility of bringing that back.
Wow.
Which
well, they only really have the two teams that are 3 people now. They only have the Wyatts and they have
and the Shield.
But who else do they have that's a 3-person team now?
Well, if you count the little bull, Les Matadores.
Oh, okay, 2.5. Okay.
A 3-man band.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess so. I didn't really think about that.
And you just be able to just develop.
Still 2.5 men.
Yeah, it is. But from there, it'd just be up to creative to be able to package the right individuals together to make those 6-man tag teams.
Well, you know, had we had this discussion a month ago, I'd say, well, yeah, they'll never be able to do that. They don't know what they're doing. But over these improvements that I've been seeing, maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
I actually just stumbled onto that, so that's the reason I brought it up.
I'm a little bit more optimistic over these last couple of weeks with WWE Creative than I have been. So it is kind of nice to see they're moving into some really good quality storylines, and they're adhering. I'm only hoping they can stick with this.
And also, speaking of WE.com, as we go and close this show out, there's a really great article that you should read, and all listeners should check out, about the history of the fanny pack.
I saw a little bit about that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful read.
I caught the tail end of it. Sorry.
It's all right.
But no, I need to check that out because I did find that a little bit intriguing. So
it's a good read. Very good
it's on
read.
WWE.com, and you scroll down to near the bottom of the page is the last place I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, looking forward to a couple of really good weeks coming up.
Busy weeks for us.
In 2 weeks, the Woodman will be back.
Yep. Next week, Marcus Hathcock will be on the show.
Always looking forward to having on guests. Hopefully, Chris Plank will be able to work us into the schedule. That would be pretty awesome.
I would love it
to have him on here. So join us here again next week, right here on your favorite place here on the internet, whether it be on Twitter, on YouTube or here on Facebook, whichever way, for another exciting edition of a little program called